What's next doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by chance. What's next happens when experience meets expertise, when data meets dollars, and when steel meets earth. What's next happens when the promising work of Pioneer's state-of-the-art research centers meets the unsparing challenges of more than 17,000 on-farm trials. Our ultimate goal is to bring the next seed breakthrough to your fields, because Pioneer isn't just our name, it's our mission. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
This RealAg Radio podcast is brought to you by new Intruvix 2 herbicide from FMC. New Intruvix 2 herbicide is an all-in-one formulation that gives you the best of both worlds, fast-burning activity and long-lasting systemic action for more consistent broadleaf control pre-seed to cereals. See your local retailer today.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio.
Hello and welcome to this Thursday edition of RealAg Radio. I am your host for the day, Lyndsey Smith, and it is Thursday, which means it is the Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And oh boy, do we have a lineup of farmers for you today. I am super excited to have these conversations. Up first, we've got Warren Schneckenburger out of Morrisburg, Ontario. Then we'll hop to Schomberg, Ontario. I'm going to find out where that is, and we'll talk with Luke Barron. Then we'll hop to Manitoba. Dwayne Leslie is going to join us. Finally, we'll land in Alberta to talk to John Kowalchuk. And I'm super excited about that. And then at the end of the show, Jenna Gregoire from Saskatchewan is going to join me. She is with Pioneer Seeds Canada, and we're going to chat about what is super exciting for the 2024 growing season, especially on the canola front. So looking forward to that as well. All right. As always, give me a shout. Let me know. Who do you want to hear on the show? Do you want to be part of the Farmer Rapid Fire? We'd love to have you on. Zip me an email, lsmith@realagriculture.com. Or, of course, you can call that feedback line, 1-855-776-6147. Or find us across social media at Real Agriculture. Let's get to a quick break, and I'll be back with Warren Schneckenburger right after this. It is time for today's product spotlight. So joining me, your host, Lyndsey Smith, is Paul Sinkovich. He's with Vantage Ag. Vantage Ag markets themselves as the foliar experts. So let us know why.
Well, Lyndsey, our new sub-nano liquid fertilizer products are specifically designed to be applied in a foliar application. They're really easy to use. You mix them with your pesticides. You can apply quickly and efficiently through your sprayer. It really couldn't be any easier. We totally bypass the soil ecosystem, which eliminates many of the factors that can influence fertilizer efficiency. And so this new technology, we feel, is changing how growers actually think about their fertility strategies with an unheard of efficiency and ROI. It just makes sense.
All right. And for those who want more information about Vantage Ag, where can they go?
They can go to vantage.ag. They can also call us at Vantage Ag at 778-919-3370.
There's power, and then there's superpower. Advancing the unstoppable superpower of pre-seed from New Farm. Take control. Eliminate weed competition and start clean in spring. Manage weeds early in canola, cereals, and pulses. Conquer, Goldwing, Thunderhawk, and Blackhawk EVO. Convenient formulations and multiple modes of action. Add more power to glyphosate, more benefits to your burn down. Go to newfarm.ca/burndown.
Welcome back to Real Ag Radio. I am your host for the day, Lyndsey Smith, and this is the Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. This is the show where we check in with 4 or 5 farmers from across Canada and find out what's keeping them busy this week. All right, we head to the corn-growing capital of Ontario, Morrisburg, to talk to Mr. Warren Schneckenburger. Warren, how are you now?
I'm doing well, Lyndsey. How are you?
You know what? I'm fantastic. And I, tongue-in-cheek, talk about Morrisburg being such a corn capital. But how'd things go? Because I hear they went pretty good for the 23 crop.
It was a pretty decent growing year. There was some struggles, but the end result was very positive.
Mm-hmm. Now, no one likes a bragger, and so we're not going to, blow sunshine and rainbows. There were challenges, but you did have some crop that didn't get harvested till January. Do you think that hurt yields at all?
No, not at all. I'm no stranger to harvesting corn in the winter. I wish I was a stranger to it, but we've seen to harvest some almost every year in and around Christmas. But no, the corn was standing extremely well, and quite honestly, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of January were the 3 nicest days we combined corn this fall. It's a pretty wet fall, but all in all, it ended up being a record crop for us on corn and soybeans. Wheat was a 2nd place after 2021's bonkers good winter wheat crop. So all in all, it was very good.
Mm-hmm. Bonkers is a very technical term for yields, by the way. It's slightly above fantastic.
It was almost 40. It was 40 bushels above our traditional winter wheat yield. So
that's bonkers.
Is the science term, yes.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, you've been on the Farmer Rapid Fire a few times, but for those who may not know, one of the things, Warren, that I always love to watch on your social media and those sorts of things is you do a few things a little differently, trying out some stuff, doing some strip tillage, always asking really good questions about nutrients and all of those sorts of things. What was one thing you did in 2023 that was new or different?
Oh, jeepers, that's a good question. For the most part, I tried not to change much up this year. We did play a bit with, we implemented those beluga drop nozzles for applying fungicide on corn late season, and 2 years ago, we did a few strip trials with some foliar nutrition at that timing, and so we did play around a bit more with that this year, seeing some more positive results. Probably going to go on a higher scale next year. The main change for this year was most of our corn was variable rate seeded. Some of the beans were, and that actually had tremendous ROI.
Really?
I was not expecting it, but yes, was very interesting because moisture was limiting for us. I know we ended up with a record crop, but we overall only had 90% of our regular rainfall for the year. We've been keeping track with the soil and crop here at the farm for over 30 years, so we have a pretty good data set. Yeah. And yes, we were only 90% of rainfall. And a lot of it came very timely. We never really got droughty, but moisture absolutely was limiting. And I think having those lower populations in some of the more drought-prone soil types definitely played a big role in our end result.
Very cool. So, and I know you can't really say average, but as you explore this variable rate populations for corn and soy, like, what would be maybe the spread between like the highest pop and the lowest pop? Like, is it 10% less, 20% less? What might that look like on a field?
It depends on the hybrid. The most extreme swing in corn was, I think, 26,000 all the way up to almost 40. Wow. So that's quite extreme. Mm-hmm. Most were maybe 5,000 plants per acre up and down, and soybeans anywhere from 90,000 up to 200. So, traditional flat rate for soybeans in our area is probably around 165,000, something like that, aiming for a final stand of 130 roughly. And so it was quite dramatic seeing some of those very thin areas. Certainly took my brain some recalibrating when particularly doing a second pass herbicide, say in soybeans, and seeing such a wild change each trip up the field in terms of plant density, where you're used to that more uniform crops. It really took some, what's going on here? Oh, wait, no, we just planted a little bit of seed here.
Right, that's right. You have to. It's trusting the process, right, Warren? You got to trust the process and carry it through. But I mean, so definitely interested to see, what happens year over year. So super cool, and I'm glad it worked out. But you're exactly right. It definitely, I'm going to say, would feel strange to, on purpose dial back your seeding rate that much and maybe looks a little uncomfortable. I guess the follow-up is, if that works out well, and it seems to have worked out well the first year, and you're going to do more of it, does variable rate herbicides, fungicide, is that where you might take this, or you're going to wait and see?
I know the agronomist I work with has played around with on-off variable rate for fungicide. I have not thus far, but we're along the St. Lawrence River here, so I'm in my own climate. We get a little bit of lake effect off the river that even my land 5 kilometers north of the farm here doesn't. We go from a 3,000 heat unit area to a 2,700 just within the small area we farm, and it's partially because of the river, and most of our land slopes south where the rest of eastern Ontario slopes north. And so I get different response curves to fungicide, so I haven't, but I can absolutely see it in like your area, the shorter season corn growing areas of eastern Ontario, that would be a big payback, although you might have to bribe your custom applicator a little bit.
Maybe
drive over the field applying gallon.
I make really good banana bread. Like, I could probably send them home with a loaf of banana bread. So but I mean, I almost think the herbicide question is almost an opposite one, though, right? Like, your high population areas, you might go, let's say, none. And you're low, maybe you go higher depending on the year. But I mean, that it completely would depend. Like, you'd have to go out there and figure that out. So anyway, fascinating stuff. One last question on the belugas. So if anyone has seen these, brilliant name for it, because I think it totally fits. How much do you love them, or are you still giving them the old trial?
Yeah, so we have a 120-foot sprayer, so 48 30-inch corn rows. We've left 6 rows on the one boom tip over to the top, just conventional nozzles, and 36 are now with the belugas. Certainly some variability there, seeing some unique hybrid characteristics shining through. This year, corn, we had not crazy amounts of rain, but adequate rain through rapid growth. So corn grew incredibly tall. Like, our sprayer can easily traverse tall corn, but there were places where the entire boom was pushing 3 feet of crop, 12, 13 feet corn in some cases. And in those situations, I don't feel the belugas got enough product to the top of the plant. And with reduced sunlight this year, with some of the foggy days earlier and smoky days earlier, we had quite a bit of high humidity, foggy, overcast days in late season, or late August, early September, with a limited photosynthesis. I think some hybrids suffered a bit by not having that product all the way to the top of the canopy. Next year, probably going to modify to do both. Love the ear leaf coverage, but the top of the plant matters too.
All right. Okay, very cool. We'll keep tabs on that. Question of the week, Warren, and this is somewhat informed by my very hurtful words that I said on Twitter earlier this week, where I admitted that A, I don't like rush, and B, I don't like snowmobiling. So what is your least Canadian attribute?
My least Canadian attribute?
Yes.
Oh, my word. That's a good question. You should have given me a heads up here. I could have thought.
Absolutely not. The whole point is that you have to answer on the spot.
My least Canadian attribute. Well, I say sorry way too often, so that's very Canadian.
Yeah, that is.
Well, I do love snowmobiling, but I don't do it much. Rush is good. I don't know.
Oh,
what your
see?
deal is.
I think I'm on an island here. I'll be honest.
I don't know.
Oh.
I consider myself very Canadian.
Well, yeah. Well, okay, hang on. When Tim Hortons brought back the Dutchie, did you go out and get it immediately?
I just bought a Dutchie.
Ah, you are too Canadian. It's not going to work on you, this question. All right, you win. You are basically Captain Canada.
I legitimately ate a Dutchie an hour ago.
They are so good. I am so pleased to have them back. Anyway, okay, well, we got to leave it there. Thanks so much. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Lyndsey. Have a great day.
All right, let's take a quick break, and I'll be back with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, right after this. Co-op knows your community because we live here too. Our teams are your trusted partners with a range of expertise to help support your entire farm operation. And we're giving back. In the past 5 years, Co-op has invested over $1.1 billion in the prairies through building, upgrading, and expanding local facilities. And we've returned over $1.17 billion to Co-op members in the prairies. Co-op, we're all building something for the future. Here for your farm, here for your family. Learn more at coop.crs/farm.
When you see how fast Intruvix 2 herbicide from FMC smacks down narrow-leaved hawksbeard, volunteer canola, kochia, and those other problem weeds, you'll be saying, stronger and faster? Shut the front door. Apply it with glyphosate before planting cereals, and you'll enjoy cleaner fields faster while protecting your future glyphosate use. Cheese and crackers. Just how easy can you get? Intruvix 2 herbicide from FMC. Clean is good. See your local retailer.
FP Genetics relentlessly brings innovative new seed genetics to Canadian farms, ensuring growers, breeders, and farmers are supported and viable. Being a valued partner on your farm for decades, you can expect the continuous pursuit of the best genetics. Visit fpgenetics.ca to discover FP's strong portfolio of wheat, durum, barley, oats, peas, and rye, or contact your local FP seed dealer or territory manager to discuss your certified seed strategy specific to your region.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio here on this Thursday, January 25th. I am your host, Lyndsey Smith, and today's show is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. For more than 90 years, Pioneer has developed and tested products to meet your local challenges. With new Optimum Glide canola, Enlist D3 soybeans, to performing corn products and industry-leading traits and technologies to maximize yield potential, Pioneer's on-the-ground teams can help you get the right products for your fields. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more. All right, we head now to Schomberg, Ontario, and I'm joined by Luke Barron. Luke, where is Schomberg, Ontario?
It's about a half an hour north of Toronto.
Really?
Yeah.
What's it like to farm a half an hour north of Toronto?
Traffic's pretty busy, but besides that, I guess it's just the same as everywhere else.
So, okay, so what kind of farm are you running in Schomberg?
Cash crop and beef cows.
Oh, beef cows. So now are you cow-calf? Or do you have a feedlot? What's the setup?
Yeah, feedlot. Yeah, we finish cattle.
Okay, yeah. So how has that gone in this past year? It has been a rather interesting year, having cattle.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. We made pretty good money on our cattle we had last year, and then it cost us about just about as much as we sold them for to rebuy them in November, and the price hasn't gone down since, so I guess it should be all right, and the price of corn's gotten cheaper to feed them than it was last year, so that was nice in a way and not nice when we were trying to sell corn, but
yeah.
I don't know.
You can't, I mean, you can't have it both ways, right? I mean, if you have grain and cattle, that's usually what happens. If one's going down, the other one's going up.
No, I think the beef market's been strong for the guys with calves to sell. It would be nice for them, and hopefully it keeps going up to pay for the cost that we had to buy them in at.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing that in watching some of those prices, it's great for whoever's selling them, but for the person buying them, that you got to have a pretty sharp pencil to make sure that you can really turn a buck on some of these once you feed them out for however many months.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, you got to kind of watch what you're spending your money on feed on and all that kind of stuff. So we did cob meal this year for the first time that we've ever fed cob meal on at our farm, and just did it because of saving money on drying corn and not having to dry as many ton of corn to feed them, and getting more feed off of like per acre basis, and all that one seems to be doing a really good job feeding them. So yeah, we're pretty happy with it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's it's something definitely I'm hearing from a couple producers that, you know, with a late fall or a wet fall, and you know, if you can save on drying costs, and the cattle seem to love it. So are you noticing decent gains with the cob meal?
Yeah, they look really good. Like I said, we just got this group in November, and scale or anything, but you can definitely tell that they're putting on the pounds, and they like have feed cleaned up. It was pretty cold here last week, and we're feeding a lot of extra feed to them, and every time you went to the barn, the bunk was just licked right clean. So yeah, just trying to feed them enough, I guess.
Yeah, to keep them rolling through that for sure. But no, that's cool. Now, do you ever like in looking at feed costs? So cob meal, something to try. Do you do any sort of like byproduct feeding, or like you're that close to the city? There must be some interesting opportunities for, you know, maybe non-traditional feed, or do you not ever worry about trying to mix it up too much?
Yeah, we haven't really got too much into feeding like brewer's grain or anything like that, but there are guys around that do it. The only byproduct we feed is like DDGs from the ethanol plant. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's our only byproduct, but I suppose there could be an opportunity if you look for it in the city, but not something we've looked into really.
Yeah, and then you have to worry about getting it, storing it, dealing with the ration balancing, all of those things.
Exactly.
Yeah, not always right. And I guess it depends at the cost, right? I mean, if it's free, maybe that's worth it. But if you're still paying by the ton and you have all the headaches, maybe it's not.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're a little, like, we're a smaller operation, if they would want to deal with a little bit that we would want to take. Mm-hmm. And they want to move quite a bit of product, so yeah,
for sure.
You never know.
Yeah. Now, on the cash crop side, were you one of the lucky ones that got the corn off at a decent time, or was it a drawn out fall for you as well?
Yeah, it was pretty drawn out. Yeah, we actually just finished on the 20th of January.
Okay.
Finally, we had a custom job to do for a guy around here, and yeah, just got done on the 20th. So it was that's quite a long fall.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a long harvest window.
Yeah, we had an elevator here got bought to put subdivision on, and it closed, and then it kind of jammed up all the other elevators around to handle the extra grain. Would have went to the other place there, so it was quite backed up, and then the St. Lawrence Seaway went on strike, and that really backed thing up again. So guys couldn't get beans in, put corn in them, and but yeah, it was quite long.
Yeah, it was not an easy fall, that's for sure. And for the years you've been farming, have you ever had a logistics nightmare like last fall was with the strike and the elevator and all that?
It was kind of like that last year, because this is the second year that elevator has been shut down. But this year just seemed to be like twice as reason. I don't know. Like, we kind of got a late start on harvest here too, just because of the way the year was, and didn't really help anything when all combines started rolling around here.
I've got a question of the week for you, and I have a feeling I might know the answer, if only because no one seems to be un-Canadian like I am. But what is the least Canadian thing about you, would you say?
The least Canadian thing? Oh, my goodness. I don't know. I like pineapples. I don't know.
There you go. You'd make a great American if you, yeah, there you go. Well, so I say it because I don't like snowmobiling. I really discovered this week. I really I can't stand it. Exactly. And that's terribly un-Canadian of me. But I seem to be the only one. So I guess I'll just... I'm lonely on this one. Anyway. All right, Luke, I'll let you get back to taking care of those cows, and we'll talk again here on the Farmer Rapid Fire another time.
Thanks very much. Have a good one.
We'll be back with more RealAg Radio right after this.
Does your N stabilizer contain an active ingredient load high enough to be agronomically effective? If not, it could be costing you time and money. If you're putting down a nitrogen stabilizer, put your trust in Koch Agronomic Services. Solutions like Super U, Tribune, and Anvil. Each delivers high active ingredient concentrations that low-rate products just can't match. Compare how imitator products stack up to agronomically effective solutions at defendyourn.ca. Whether you're in a career within an organization, starting your own business, looking for your dream job, running your own farming operation, operating a company in ag or food, or want to hone your overall life skills, this conference is for you. Celebrating over 10 years of bringing women in ag together, join the Advancing Women Conference in Calgary on March 17th, 18th, and 19th. Visit advancingwomenconference.ca for more information and to register.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio and the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. We go now to my home province of Manitoba, and we stop in with Dwayne Leslie of Portage La Prairie. Dwayne, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, Lyndsey. Great to hear from you.
Yeah, it's been a little while. How have you been keeping?
Just great. It's been a great winter. So nice and warm out here on the prairies for a change, other than a bad week for Egg Days last week, which of course I think that's more accurate than the Farmer's Almanac. You know that if it's the week of Egg Days in Brandon, you know it's going to be minus 40.
That's right. I have many fond memories of attending Ag Days, and it was the most beautiful, clear, bright sun and the coldest air temp you could imagine. And it was always a gamble as to whether or not your car would start at the end of the day.
It always is. It always is. But that's why we have these cords that hang out the front of our vehicles, right?
We do. Yeah. Block heaters are a thing, everybody. Okay, now speaking of Ag Days, you were on the board. How did Ag Days go for you as a board member?
It was fantastic. You know, you're always worried about the cold weather, of course, and move in and, you know, you just deal with those issues, getting stuff inside best you can, get stuff warmed up. And of course, you're always worried, is anybody going to come? But after 47 years, I think, of Egg Days, it doesn't matter how cold it is, everybody shows up. So it was a great turnout on all 3 days, and everybody was extremely happy with the way everything went.
I have heard very good things, and I, of course, had to watch from afar. I wasn't there, but it was wonderful to see all the social media of, you know, all the talks that people went to, the equipment that they saw, and of course, Calvin was there and gathered a whole bunch of interviews, so we got those as well on our YouTube channel. And one of the ones, I don't know if you have anything to do with the innovation showcase, but the meth head definitely turned heads, I'll say, with a name like that.
And I think that's exactly what they wanted to do with naming a product like that. And it actually was one of the innovations that won an award, too. So, but yeah, we had a little bit of fun on the committee talking about that one. And but it was, it's what innovation is all about. A farmer built a product to fix a problem that he had. And it's great. That's so much to see and learn from companies who enter into the innovation showcase.
Yeah, what keeps you... So now that Ag Days is put to bed for the year, I'm sure you'll get back going there soon enough, planning next year. But what else keeps you busy this time of year?
It's a long, cold winter, usually out here in the prairies, so I've always had a few little internet projects that I have fun with. So we just launched a website called Octino.com at the first of the year, and basically the idea of that is creating the ultimate watch list for all your upcoming auctions. So we aggregate all the data from all the different companies and platforms and put it in one place. so that you can find what you're looking for, but most importantly, get an email the morning of when that item is closing, because that's been my huge frustration as the industry evolved through COVID, was forgetting stuff. Because now instead of having to go to that auction on Tuesday morning, now I have to remember to be on my phone or at my desk or something and bid on that item on Tuesday. So it was my frustration, and so when I get frustrated, I usually just go build something.
See?
Have some fun with it.
Solving a problem. Your problem was missing
Absolutely.
out on auction items because you were missing the deadline. So there you go. Okay, so tell me more about this. So Octino, so that's Teeno, so auction.
Correct.
Octino. I like it. Okay, and so do you, like, is it membership based? You sign in, you make an account, and you just sort of pick the stuff you're looking at and wait for it to remind you, or how does it work?
Sure. So basically, if you want to make use of the watch list, you have to create a little free account just so that you can track what you want to track. But if you're looking for, an 8120 combine, you can have that saved search. You can have it all come up, find the ones you like, put it in your watch list. And then let's say, most of the sales, farm sales coming up in late March and April, you've probably forgot about it by then. So this is the way to remind it. And of course, you can come in and view your watch list at any time and just keep track of stuff and spend more money.
That's right. That is ultimately what it comes down to. Or really finding that one piece of equipment that eludes you. So it's an interesting thing because, and I've got to do the Farmer Rapid Fire now in the last little bit. And one of the conversations that has come up, of course, is, when deciding, what to upgrade or when to change. And one particular farmer, she had said that, they decided on what they wanted and then they had to wait to find it. And so, do you think that's becoming more common that, especially with the used equipment of sort of deciding what you want and then you have to be patient to find it?
Well, it depends how unique it is. With the way the internet it works today, you can find anything you want usually by the hundreds with a quick Google search or, different websites to find these things. But sometimes finding that unique item might be unique to your area, but it is so common in another area that there's lots of them for sale. Mm-hmm. And really it just comes down to how much freight you want to pay for an item to have it delivered right to your yard.
Mm-hmm. Well, and honestly, I'm surprised actually by how cheap freight can be. And I use the term cheap lightly. Don't get me wrong, but there are times where I'm like, for the size and the weight and the the scope of something, sometimes I'm quite impressed by how efficiently companies can move things. So depending, that might not be what stops you from getting that particular item, but missing it on the auction would be. So there you go. Now we have a solution to not miss those items that are going up. Now, I am asking farmers this week, my question of the week, Dwayne, and I have discovered that I am perhaps at fault here. And so my question is, what is the least Canadian thing about you? And I'll tell you why I'm failing is because I've discovered that I have some very un-Canadian things about me and no one else does. So help me out. What is your least Canadian thing?
Probably the least Canadian thing about me is my wife is British.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I like that one.
So that's, off the top of my head, that's about all I can think of.
Well, that's a good thing maybe in that mine is that I don't like Rush, the band. And I detest snowmobiling. So I'm a terrible Canadian. So I think, so there you go. See, your negative is positive.
Yeah. In that type of vein, I cannot name one Tragically Hip song.
Oh,
so
see,
I
now,
have no idea about that. So.
New thing. That is actually the least Canadian thing about you then, Dwayne. There you go. I just decided we're switching it. It's that you can't name I happen to know people who don't like Tragically Hip, and I will tell you that would be the least Canadian thing about them. So there you go. We all have to just accept these things, right? Okay. We are out of time, Dwayne. It has been lovely to chat with you, and good luck with Octino.com. It sounds cool.
Thank you so much, Lyndsey. Have a great afternoon.
All right. You too. Take care. From Manitoba, we're going to hop to Alberta, where I am joined by #RegularFarmer and the Ted Lasso of Canadian agriculture, John Kowalchuk. John, how are you?
Good, Lyndsey. How about you?
I'm doing well. How do you feel about John Bergen over there on Twitter calling you the Ted Lasso of Canadian agriculture?
That was pretty funny, actually, and it was kind of it's a long story, but he was actually my ride from Winnipeg to Brandon for the Manitoba Ag Days last week. So he's giving me compliments and giving me rides, so it's pretty awesome.
It is friendly Manitoba, John. It's on the license plate. So yeah, how was your time in Brandon? I know Calvin saw you there.
Oh yeah, I got to visit with him a bit. It was awesome. Yeah, it's a big show. There's a lot to see there. It's all indoors, which is nice because it can be quite cold in Manitoba as well. So, but no, it was a pretty cool show. I was glad I got to go.
Mm-hmm. Now, so John, it's fantastic to watch, to see all the places you end up, all the speaking gigs that you do, and what's your favorite part of that?
What's that, sorry?
What's your favorite part of traveling around and speaking at these events and these sorts of things?
I think that my favorite part for sure is just meeting all the people. That's the cool part. And I love going to farm shows and different things, and it's always fun to take the time to talk to all the people that you get to see and visit with. And I think that's the coolest part is I think it's the people, getting to see people. And it was kind of neat out in Manitoba there. Got to meet Andy Pastor in person and Sarah Leguy for the first time. I'd never met her in person, and got to know Amy Smith too, who I didn't know at all before. So things like that, I think those kind of connections are invaluable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I know it is. I mean, as much as, and this is still one of my favorite parts of social media, is that you get to know people that by geography you'd probably never meet. And then when you do get to end up in the same spot, it's like you feel like you already know them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Social media kind of gives you that knowledge before you talk to that person, and you do feel like you're already friends or you already know that person, so you can skip all the other stuff at the beginning. You just dig right into the conversation. It's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're in Trochu. It's a grain farm, of course. So what keeps you busy this time of year?
Yeah, hauling grain and doing books. So year end, of course, coming into January, got to get all that figured out and get that ready to go. And I've been able to haul quite a bit of grain early to try to get some contracts filled up. So I'm not worried about doing that when it's really bad. But we were really cold last week, right before I went to Manitoba. We were minus 58 with the wind chill. So it kind of put a halt on a lot of work around here. So, and today we're minus 4.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a difference for sure.
That's temperature whiplash. And I was going to say, minus 50, whatever, we should convert to Fahrenheit, but it doesn't matter at that point. It's just that
it's
cold.
Close, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Minus 40, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, they meet at minus 40. So to put it into context for our American friends, it was too cold. Rarely do you go to Manitoba to warmer weather. Let's just put it that way. So now this is the nice thing, of course, about having a grain farm. You don't have to worry about livestock, but certainly still have to worry about being able to start that truck or unload grain or stay safe in extreme cold. So were you able to just sort of delay everything to once it warmed up a little?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was able to put off hauling and stuff for the things that I was kind of elevator were calling and wanted grain or whatever. I'm just like, I'm not going to bother going in this weather. It's not worth it. And I was pretty busy keeping everything unthawed at the farm and keeping stuff from freezing up because I don't live right at my farm. Right, I actually live in Trochu, and the farm is in Rumsey, which is about 17 miles east of where I live. So I was back and forth there a bit, making sure I had water freeze up a couple times and stuff. So I was kind of making sure nothing got wrecked. So, But when it's that cold, anything could go wrong. So it's definitely, you don't want to drive on the road if you don't have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so you do have grain to haul, which is lovely. Certainly there were some farmers this past year that were so dry, they probably don't, or a lot less. How did the year turn out for you?
Actually, for our area, we weren't too bad. I was about average for a crop for me normally, so it was definitely probably above average from everybody else you talk to, and all across Western Canada, right? There was pockets that were pretty pretty bad. So no, we're fortunate that way. We got one rain in May, half an inch about the 15th of May, and that's what was the difference. It was that half-inch rain, believe it or not. Just how close we were to getting a decent, even a better crop would be one more rain later on in, say, July or the end of June, and it would have been the difference between us getting actually even a better crop. So we're able to grow a fairly decent crop on minimal rain nowadays with all the different practices we use and better varieties in grain. And like I say, the reduced tillage for us works well because we are so dry. I know it's not the same everywhere, but definitely in this area, it's a big saving of any available moisture. So,
So now, are you completely zero till, or do you still use some tillage? And are you doing any control traffic stuff?
I'm not doing any control traffic, but I've been like zero till for quite a few years. Just the odd bit, I might have to plow up a slough bottom or something like that. But other than that, I'm direct seeding, minimum till. I'm not quite zero. It's like, so I do have a fairly, like a 3-inch opener on 10-inch spacing. So there is a bit of disturbance for sure, but it's not, I'm not doing any high-speed tillage or anything or any heavy harrowing in the fall. It's all just spreading with the spreader on the combine and try to reduce the passes as much as possible. But we do have some neighbors doing control traffic around here too, just to try to help out a little bit too. But for me, it's a lot of work to do that, and I got to hand it to those people that do it. I tell you, that's commitment, because I honestly, I don't think I could do it.
I don't know. I think for a lot of these things, it has to be something you're either really interested in or really good at, or really, right? Because, you got to convert all your equipment. And if you're not, if that's not your jam, then you're probably not going to love doing it. And I don't think it's necessary. I just think it's kind of neat that when farmers switch it over. But yeah, I think you can do just fine.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you can do okay. I think there definitely are big advantages to it. Like they talked about the tilth of the soil and better moisture penetration into the soil. Like, because for us, we get a lot of compaction, and that can cause issues with runoff. And I can see that being maybe more even distribution of moisture. Like, there's definitely pluses to it. It's just, like I say, it would take a lot of work to switch everything over.
Yeah. Well, and you're kind of a one-man show there, John.
Yeah, for me, it's I do get help with in harvest. I get some buddies out, and my brother helps. My son helps once in a while running the combine. But for the most part, yeah, it's kind of me. So it might actually be easier doing control traffic, but just one guy, he wouldn't get messed up and do the wrong thing. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe who knows? Give it a shot. Let us know. Okay, my question of the week this week, John, and it's been falling flat. It seems that I am the one who is not very Canadian. But I did admit this week that I don't love snowmobiling, and it is very un-Canadian of me. And so I am asking each farmer, what is the least Canadian thing about you?
Wow.
Right?
The least Canadian thing about me? That is a really tough question. I could name lots of Canadian things about me.
I know, we all can. Our excessive apologizing, our love of curling, our love of the band Rush and the Tragically Hip, like all of these things.
Yes. Well, and Nickelback. Come on, I'm in Alberta here.
That's right.
I love Nickelback.
And we haven't even.
I don't think there's any.
See, this is what I'm saying. Is I'm slowly discovering I'm the only one who's un-Canadian out of all of us. Anyway. So I
like maple syrup. Right? I love poutine. Oh, man. I can't think of it.
We should probably, for our American listeners, we might have to explain what poutine is. It's fries with cheese curds and gravy. It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, try it out. It has to be cheese curds. I mean, I had it with other cheese, but it has to be cheese curds. Anyway, okay. Well, if you think of something, John, let me know. Because so far, I think I am failing the Canadian test and nobody else is.
I like holidaying in the U.S. Maybe that's the most un-Canadian thing. I like going down where it's warmer.
That is so Canadian.
So that's un-Canadian.
That's what all of Western Canada does. Exactly. All right, John, I'll let you get back to it. And but thanks so much for joining me on the Farmer Rapid Fire here today. All right, let's take a very quick break, and I'll be back with Jenna Gregoire of Pioneer Seeds Canada right after this.
Through a growing storm of kochia, cleavers, chickweed, and more, there's a clear path. Introducing Oxbow, a versatile cereal broadleaf herbicide that gets the job done. Powered by Duplisan technology, Oxbow is your workhorse on resistant kochia and other tough weeds. With flexibility in timing, rates, and recropping options, your path is clear. Find your way on the path of least resistance at newfarm.ca/Oxbow.
What's next for your fields? At Pioneer, delivering industry-leading genetics drives everything we do. From the scientists in the lab to our local teams with boots on the ground. We are determined to get there first. Developing top-performing products, proven in more growing conditions than ever before. Pioneer. What's next happens here. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio, channel 147. I am your host, Lyndsey Smith, and it is time here on the Farmer Rapid Fire to talk to Jenna Gregoire. She's with Pioneer Seeds Canada. How are you, Jenna?
I am good, Lyndsey. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You'll note, for those of you watching, I am very bundled up because it is freezing where I am. You are in Saskatchewan. What part of Saskatchewan, and is it also freezing?
I'm in Northwest Saskatchewan, so it's pretty much always freezing up here. But you know what? It's a heat wave. I think it's about -20 today, and last week was all -50, so I will take it.
That's right. Isn't it amazing how much warmer -20 feels after that absolute ice age? Yes. Okay. So now, Northwest Saskatchewan always makes me think, is there moisture? Do you have snow? This is a big question.
Well, yeah, that is the coffee shop talk in my area for sure, because we got our first dumping of snow about 2 weeks ago. So it was a brown Christmas, but now there is some snow covering the ground, which makes me and everyone around me a little bit more pleasant, I'd say. Yeah, a little bit of moisture is nice to see finally.
Absolutely. And let's hope it keeps up. You know, a few more inches of snow would be welcome, especially in some of those very dry areas. That does, though, I think here we're approaching the end of January. Obviously, we're very much looking forward that, seeding will be here before we know it. What exciting things do you have for the year ahead as far as canola varieties and making that decision on getting rolling with the cropping season?
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you asked, Lyndsey, because we actually just launched a brand new hybrid that offers farmers just some peace of mind when it comes to sclerotinia protection. So this particular hybrid, it's called P617SL. And what it does is it's a full fungicide spray replacement for sclerotinia built right in the bag. So it's honestly, it is groundbreaking in the canola industry because we're the only ones that offer a hybrid with that option built right in the bag for producers. So I'm really excited about it.
So, okay, unpack this for me. So it's the equivalent of a spray pass for fungicide in the bag, meaning, is that a genetic potential or is that something that's been added on?
So it's bred right into the plant, and it is it's actually even better than what a perfect fungicide spray option would give you. So if you break it down, if you were to spray at the exact right time for sclerotinia, which we know is pretty much impossible for a grower out there because there's always that, do we spray, do we not spray, do we spray at 30%, do we spray at 50%? What's the perfect timing? And if you were to spray at the perfect time, you're looking at about 75% reduction. But with this hybrid, you're actually getting upwards to 80% reduction in sclerotinia incident built right in the bag without having to think about it. So, if you did have an incredibly high sclerotinia year, it might warrant to still spray, but that 80% reduction, it takes away the unknown of producers. And I know me personally, if I have an option to go to the lake instead of spraying in July, I'm going to take that every time because that sounds a heck of a lot nicer than having to get that sprayer out.
Well, and you did mention, of course, that challenge of making sure it is the perfect time. And that, even if you go by the rule of thumb of the percent bloom, you still do have to line up the sprayer. Exactly that. You've still got to be there. And, the weather might work against you or it might work for you. So this really is sort of peace of mind right from the get-go as far as 80%. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, even last year we were really dry, but there was pockets of sclerotinia that poked up because there was really high humidity and the temperatures dropped a little bit. So even though you're thinking it's hot and dry, there is still areas, even in a drought, where you still could see that sclerotinia incidence poke its ugly head out there. So this is a really good fit. It's probably not a fit for 100% of the acres on the farm by any means, but if there's a trouble area that's hard to get to or farther away, or you just don't have the boots in the field like you normally would, this is a really good risk management tool for guys, just to give them that peace of mind, knowing that they don't have to worry about whether or not their entire field will get eaten up with sclerotinia or not. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
It's an ugly one, and it's out there, that's for sure. As you mentioned, even in a dry year can still definitely be an issue if humidity is high. So definitely. Now, when it comes to, of course, that's one of the questions of variety selection or hybrid selection for the year ahead. How else do you sort of broach that subject? So yes, there's always something new and exciting. How do you work through the conversation of, which other hybrids you're going to choose for your other fields?
Yeah, I mean, I like to ask a guy what are their takes, like what are their hot buttons when it comes to picking a canola hybrid. And for some, it's a disease management package, so maybe a sclerotinia hybrid works for them. For others, maybe it's clubroot. That Edmonton corridor is just polluted with clubroot, so that might be the very first one. For others, it's maturity. I mean, being in Northwest Sask, one year we could have snow, September 7th, and we could have snow November 7th, or we could have no snow until after Christmas, right? You really don't know. So depending on what those hot topics are for a customer, it's nice to know that we have something that fits each and every one of those for them. So really, it's just dependent on what they're looking for on their farm.
Mm-hmm. Now, and what about harvest management? Do you get a lot of discussion over, I want to stage out my maturities a bit because I've got to get over those acres? How does that work in?
Yeah, absolutely. So for some guys, they're trying to get into the bin as quickly as possible. And for other guys, they're trying to take their cereals off first, their pulses off first, and they want something that's going to give them a little bit more time on the back end. So, all the way from an early maturity hybrid to, even this one with the sclerotinia, it's a 6. So it's on the later side of things. We have something that kind of fits all those in-betweens that a customer is looking for, which is really nice to have.
Mm-hmm. All right. And before I let you go here, what are you looking most forward to for the 2024 growing season?
Some moisture. I'm really looking forward to some moisture.
I love that.
Yeah, I love the phone calls of, it's been a struggle to get in-crop spraying because we've had moisture, which means some good growing conditions for guys. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm anticipating a good moisture year.
All right. Positive thinking. Let's try it out.
Definitely.
All right. Jenna, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Awesome. Thanks, Lyndsey.
All right. What a whirlwind show today. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Farmer Rapid Fire. Really appreciate each of the farmers joining me on the show, taking time out of their day to share what's going on, even if they have each proven that they are 100%, 110% Canadian, and I am falling short. I would love to know what your least Canadian thing is, and you may include that you hate the Dutchie, because I'll tell you, if you hate the Dutchie, that might be it. Our American friends, what's a Dutchie? We actually had a few terms on today's show that maybe we'll have to explore. I believe the word slough was used, which that is like a naturally occurring, like a pothole, a low spot that fills with water. Sometimes they're quite deep. So cob meal. Maybe not everybody knows what cob meal is. I didn't know until I moved to Ontario. Anyway, that's what we're doing here on the Farmer Rapid Fire. We are learning coast to coast, and we are learning that A, the Dutchie is great, and B, I have some work to do on my Canadiana. Alrighty, if you've got some feedback, if you want to join the Farmer Rapid Fire, send me an email, lsmith@realagriculture.com. You can call that RealAg feedback line, 1-855-776-6147. You can, of course, find us across social media. We are at Real Agriculture. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got a Facebook page. We're on Twitter /X, TikTok, Instagram. If you're on TikTok, the meth head that you heard me mention in my chat with Dwayne, we've got a TikTok that has done very well. Lots of comments on there if you want to go check it out. And you can see the full video on our YouTube channel as well. And that just about does it for me on this Thursday. Thank you everyone for joining me. I will be back tomorrow on the issues panel. Sean Haney, Calvin Hepner, and I are actually going to be in the same room. Cannot wait to knock out some of the big stories of the week. So until then, cheers everyone.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the RealAg Radio podcast, brought to you by new Intruvix 2 herbicide from FMC. New Intruvix 2 herbicide for cereals delivers outstanding control of the toughest broadleaf weeds like volunteer canola, narrow-leaved hawksbeard, and kochia. See your local retailer for more information today.